Hello everyone, so welcome you all to Ashok Tutorials, Meghalaya's first MTech channel. So as we are taking the online coaching on certain things, so certain topics, certain subjects. So today this will be the first video on English, all right? LP, so for LP section or for lower primary section, that is paper 1 English, all right, which is taken as language 2 here, all right? So we will be discussing different parts. It has got different parts, right? Part A, proficiency in English. It has got how many parts, subparts? Let us see. Oral language development, then reading for meaning, then writing to learn, and part B has got knowledge about language, and then again part C, which is about internship. All right, so all these things we shall be discussing, but let's first thing first, right? So first of all, we shall start with proficiency in English. That is purpose of learning language, focus on the different language skills. So number one is oral language development. So today in this video we will be discussing on listening with comprehension, that is simple instructions, classroom discussions, poetry recitations, newspaper reading, stories, films, note taking, etc. Alright, this one we shall be discussing. So let us directly go to our slides. What we have, let's see. Great. So all right, so just say hi to him, all of you. All right, so English. So oral language development is all about how children learn to communicate through speaking and listening. See, oral language development, when we are asked what is oral language development, it means nothing but how we or how children they learn how to communicate, how to talk, how to listen, how to read, how to write. So these are the things which we mean when we are saying language development. All right, it means the communication, talking. It's a foundation for reading and writing skills later on, and it impacts their overall learning and social development too. See, later on, see, first of all, what do we learn? Of course, we know that first of all we learn how to listen, right? After listening we learn how to speak, and then the later part comes to reading and writing. Understood? Yes, I hope this is clear. Let's see the next slide. All right, listening with comprehension. What do you understand by the word comprehension? So what do we understand by comprehensions? Comprehension means understanding. So how do we understand something, right? So comprehension means understanding. So listening with comprehension goes beyond simply hearing what someone is saying. It's about actively receiving and understanding the full message of spoken language. See, comprehension means understanding. See, when you are talking to somebody, whether you understand or not, you are still listening to it, right? But when you go, when you are teaching to your students, then we expect that they not only listen to our lectures or teachings, but they are also able to understand what we are trying to say, right? So that is called listening with comprehension. All right, so I hope it is clear. Let's go to the next slide. What we have. All right, so this is the next one. So let's see, understanding the words and their meanings. These include not just individual vocabulary, but also how those words come together in sentences and paragraphs. See, we have learned about grammars, right? Grammar we have learned, right? The part of speech, we have learned parts of speech. Noun, pronoun, verb, adverb, adjectives, right? Conjunctions, interjections, then so on and so forth we have learned. So we have to understand the words and their meaning. We have to understand what is that particular word and what do we mean when we say that word. Then grasping the main ideas and supporting details. So see, what are these? Understanding the words and their meaning. These are comprehension, which means understanding. In order to understand the meaning, you have to understand the word first, and once you understand the meaning of the word, then you understand the intention of that message. Now, grasping the main ideas and supporting details, being able to distinguish the core message from the additional information that fleshes it out. Now, when somebody has said something to you, or somebody have given a statement, you have to understand what was the intention of that person, what actually the person wanted to say. all right, whether additional information is needed or not. Interpreting the speaker's intent and tone, considering not just the literal word but also the speaker's emotion, body language, and overall message they are trying to convey. See, we know that the same thing can be said in different manner, right? Orders can be given, request can be made, things can be said in anger, things can be said when somebody is sad, things can be said when somebody is happy, when somebody is hurt, right? So different emotions we have, we are human beings, so we have different emotions, right? That's why in your WhatsApp you all have got emojis, right? You have got emojis. So when you are happy you send us a smiling smiley, but when you are sad you send the broken heart, or you send the crying emoji, right? So those things are what? They are the things which we use in order to make our messages more meaningful and more, understandable. Now, making connections and inferences, drawing on prior knowledge and the context of the conversation to understand what is not explicitly stated. So, we have to make the connection between the words, between the sentence, between the statement, between the paragraphs, and we have to understand what somebody wanted to say and what he or she do not, do not want to say. So, remembering key information. So, retaining the important points of what was said. So, we have to remember at the end of the day, like what was the core idea given out when somebody have spoken to you. Now, communication skills in action. So what are the different communication skills in action? Let us see. Here's a breakdown of different communication skills which are used in various activities. Number one is simple instructions. So what do you understand by simple instructions? So simple instruction means it is clear and concise direction for completing a task. So you are, when simple instructions are given in order to say to somebody to do a certain task. So as we see the example, it will get clear. Let us see. Please take 2 crayons, one red, one blue, and color the flower in the picture. So what is this? This is an example of a simple instruction, right? Then listening comprehension, you need to understand each step clearly. So suppose you are asking a child to do the drawing or painting or sketching, then you have to give them simple instructions slowly, one by one. You have to give the instructions and you have to make sure that they have understood what you want to say, right? Then we have classroom discussions. So what is classroom discussions? An interactive exchange of ideas in a learning environment is called classroom discussions, which means different students, different children, boys and girls, they will come together, they will discuss the ideas, they will be brainstorming, and they will give their ideas, or whatever the topic you as teachers have given to them, they will find the solution to that, or they will find the ideas or concept, they will develop and they will deliver what they have discussed as a group. Then skills used: listening, speaking, critical thinking, and collaboration. These are the skills used when there are classroom discussions. So we as teachers, we should always encourage classroom discussions, right? So listening skills, speaking skills, thinking skills, and collaboration skills are used when we are doing classroom discussions. Example can be, after reading a story about kindness, the teacher asks, what makes someone a kind person? Can you share examples from the story? So suppose you have asked the child to read a story and he or she has read the story, and after that you say, so what is the quality of a kind person, or when can we say somebody is kind? Can you give me the examples from the story you have read? So now next is oral language development. So you get to express your ideas and learn from others too, right? So of course, when we are talking to one another, we are expressing what we want to say, as well as we are also learning what others are trying to say, right? Good. Number 3 is poetry recitation. So I hope you understand what do we mean by poetry recitation. So presenting a poem by reading it aloud with expressions. See, whenever you are reading a poem with expression, that is called poetry recitation, which means you will not just read it for the sake of reading, but you will be reading it so that so that the people who are listening to it, they understand. All right, they understand what you are trying to say, how you say it. So for example, if I am reading a poem, suppose I'm reading a poem called A Thing of Beauty. A Thing of Beauty was written by John Keats, right? Suppose I'm reading this poem. So a thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness, but still will keep a bar quiet for us, and a state full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. Therefore, every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth, spite of despondence of inhuman dirt. See, did you understand what the poet wanted to say? Certainly, you did not understand, right? So I have to read it with feelings. I have to read it with fluency. I have to read it, I have to pronounce the words nicely. I have to read it with a stimulus, with emotions. So I should be reading it somewhat like a thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness, but still will keep a bower quiet and asleep, full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. Therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth, spite of despondence of the inhuman dirt. Right? So this is how we read. But of course, I know the language teachers, they can read better than me, and they are the actual teachers, the language teachers, the English teachers, the Garo teachers, the Khasi teachers, right? So the Hindi teachers, they are the ones who are perfect in doing this poetry recitation, as they are the one who will be teaching the students how to read or how to recite a poem, right? So skills used, fluency skill is used, pronunciation skill is used, conveying emotion speech is used. All right, now example can be reciting Robert Frost, The Road Not Taken with a Thoughtful. So I have given you another example, that is A Thing of Beauty is a joy forever, right? Now oral language development improves delivery and expression of the language. Now how does it help? Poetry recitation helps by improving the delivery and expression of the language of the reader, right? Good. Newspaper reading. So how many of you like to read newspaper? I believe that all of you like to read newspapers. Of course, we do not read the hard copy anymore. We read the newspapers on our mobile phone, right? Good. Now, newspaper reading. So what is newspaper reading? Reading and understanding information from a newspaper. So some of the newspapers can be like Shillong Times, the Highland Post, Salantini Janera, the Times of India, the Hindu, the Print, right? The Economic Times. So we have different newspapers, right? Then skills used. What are the skills used when we are reading a newspaper? So reading comprehension, identifying main ideas, critical thinking. So these are the skills required when you are reading a newspaper. Now, what can be the example? Example, reading an article about a local park renovation project and understanding the timeline and benefits for the community. So suppose you are reading Salantini Janera and you are finding that the government or the deputy commissioner, they have decided to renovate the DC park, the Tura DC park. They have tried to renovate. All right, there are certain projects. So how to go about, they have mentioned in the newspapers. So as you know that our DC park of Tura has already been renovated last time, right? So you have seen the chess arena, and also it is very nicely, beautifully renovated, right? So we are all fortunate to have the deputy commissioner who have done so much for us, right? So listening connections. Now let us see listening connections. Similar skills are used for listening to news reports. So whatever whatever the skills we are using for newspaper reading, the same skills are used even in order to listen to the news reports. All right, now let us see number 5, stories. I believe that every one of you love stories, right? Grandpa stories, grandma stories, then all different type of stories. These days the podcast is very, very important. Cuckoo FM is there, right? Cuckoo FM, then other type of audio books which you are listening to, plugging in your earphones and you're listening, right? So stories, when we talk about stories, what do we understand? So narratives that entertain or teach lessons. So we like to listen to the stories which are entertaining, which are which teaches us a lesson, right? So you can go about different type of stories, like uh, of different categories. Comic is there, thriller is there, horror is there, then romantic ones are there, right? Then crime is there. So different type of genre is there in order to, you know, that you can use to uh, whenever you are interested in reading a story. Like, see, these days we want everything to be easy, so we don't want to read the stories, we just want to listen to it, right? So skills used, what are the different skills used in narrating a story? Listening comprehension, visualization, critical thinking, analyzing character and plot. So these are the skills used. Listening comprehension means listening, we are understanding by listening, right? Then visualization, then we are trying to imagine how they are saying, the picture is coming into our mind when the you know when we are listening to the audio, the visualization is going on into our mind and it makes us think critically, right? So examples: listening to a story about a courageous girl who saves her pet and taking note on the main character's trait. So suppose we are listening a story of a brave girl who saves her pet, all right, and taking note on main character's traits. Now, language development. Stories can inspire creative storytelling and vocabulary growth. So we all know that, storytelling is there these days in school, then in competitions also there are storytellings, and storytelling develops the overall personality of the individual, right? It helps to improve your vocabulary, your pronunciation, then your command over the language, then how you deliver it, the emotions, you know the the emotions you're using, the intonations you're using, the stimulus you're using in order to deliver that. So everything is taken into account, all right? So films now. Everybody love watching films, right? We all love to watch films. Hollywood, Bollywood, Tollywood, Collywood. Everything we love, right? So what is a film? Visually storytelling through moving pictures and sound. So film means stories, right? We all love watching movies. So what is movie? Movie is of course a story, but it is not in the written form or audio form. It is in the audio visual form, which means you can actually see the drama, you can actually see the picture, right? Then what are the skills used? Visual literacy is used, understanding plot, character development, themes, overall message. So visual, we are using our eyes and ears and all the senses to understand what is there in the movie. We are using our brain, right? And slowly we develop, like, this story is going to be this way or that way. Then we love the suspicion in the story, right? The surprises in the movie. So this is how we are developing our the language, or the overall understanding or the comprehension. Now, listening connections, paying attention to dialogues and narration is key to understand the film. See, whenever you want to really understand what is the movie about, or what is the situation going on in the movie, or how it is going about, you have to focus on the dialogue said by the actors, right? What dialogue the actor is saying, what are the emotion used, happily said or angrily said, or when the actor was hurt, that time he said. So you have to pay attention to each and every dialogue and the narration provided in that movie, all right? So we all love watching movies, especially we these days we love watching South movies, right? South Indian movies we enjoy a lot because there are lots and lots of actions, right? So most of us, we love watching action movies, right? All right, number 7 is note taking. What is note taking? So recording key information from spoken or written sources. See, even when the students are in the classroom, or we as teachers, when we were in our colleges, or when we go for certain seminars and workshops, what do? We note down the important points. Suppose we are in a seminar, or whatever the the presenter is presenting there, if we find something very important or relevant, we will note it down in the diary or in the piece of paper. So what are the skills used here? Summarizing, identifying key points, and organization. So we use here summarizing, we use here identifying the points, and then how do we organize the things. Example can be while listening to a science lecture about the importance of recycling. jotting down or writing down keywords and facts about its environmental impact. So this is what I already told you. So note taking builds on listening comprehension and aid learning from various sources. So when we are listening to someone, we are building our listening skills, and as well as we are aiding our learning from different type of resources. All right, so I think this is all right. So now this is the conclusion, I suppose. So these are just a few example, and the specific skills used can vary depending on the activity and its purpose. The key takeaway is that strong communication involves a combination of listening, speaking, reading, and writing, all working together to understand and share information effectively. So this is what I already told you. So there are basically 4 language skills which you really have to remember and understand, and you have to remember it sequentially, which means you have to remember which one will come first. So of course we know that L, S, R, W. So L means listening, S means speaking, R means reading, and W means writing. So first of all, we develop our listening skills, right? So when a child grows up, he tries to listen first. After listening, the child will start speaking. After speaking, the child will start reading, and eventually after reading, the child will start writing, right? So this way it goes, L, S, R, W. You have to remember this, all right? So I think this is all. So thank you everyone for staying connected with Ashok Tutorials, Meghalaya's first MTED channel, and I hope that it was beneficial to you. This was just the beginning or the introduction of the, not actually introduction, but the first part of the English language. All right, so LP. So I hope that you understood whatever your doubt was a bit clearer now. All right, so thank you everyone, until we meet again. Thank you.